No, we beg you, do not cast us out into the pigs! Do not send us into the abyss!
Why have you come to antis us? Let us go into the herd.
Why did demons beg Jesus to enter pigs? The shocking truth excavated from victims' point of view. I watched my brother die twice in one day. The first time was when his eyes rolled back and something else looked out at me through his face. The second time was when 2,000 screaming pigs drowned themselves in the lake, and he woke up like he'd been asleep his whole life. But what happened between those two deaths changed everything I thought I knew about good, evil, and what hides in the shadows of our world. My name is Caleb, and I'm about to tell you the most terrifying story you've ever heard. Because it's true, every word of it. Before I continue, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button right now. Tap the like button. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. This story needs to reach people, and you're going to understand why by the end. Ethan wasn't always the monster in the caves. He used to build things with his hands. Wooden toys for the neighborhood kids. Little boats that actually floated. He'd laugh this big, warm laugh that made everyone around him smile. Mom used to say he had Dad's heart, generous and kind. That was before the nightmares started, before he stopped sleeping, before the screaming began. I was 12 when it got bad. Ethan was 19, old enough to work the fishing boats, old enough to think about getting married, old enough to have a whole life ahead of him. Instead, he started talking to people who weren't there. At first, Mom thought it was stress. Dad said he needed to pray more. The local rabbi came by, said prayers over him, blessed him with oil and water. Nothing worked. Then came the night Ethan tried to hurt himself. I found him in the kitchen, holding a knife to his arm, tears streaming down his face. But when he looked at me, his eyes were wrong, like someone else was looking through them, and the voice that came out wasn't his. "Get away from me, boy. This one is ours." I ran. I'm not ashamed to say it. I ran and got Dad, and by the time we came back, Ethan had already cut himself. Not deep enough to die, but deep enough to scar. That's when Dad made the decision. We tied him up, thick ropes around his wrists and ankles. It felt wrong, like betraying him, but what choice did we have? He was a danger to himself, a danger to all of us. But here's the thing nobody tells you about evil. It's strong, stronger than rope, stronger than chains, stronger than iron. 3 days later, Ethan broke free. The ropes were still tied, but they were snapped clean through like paper, and he was gone. We found him 2 miles away, living in the burial caves outside town, naked, bleeding, screaming at the sky. That was 3 years ago. 3 years of watching my brother become something I didn't recognize. 3 years of people crossing the street when they heard him howling at night. 3 years of Mom crying herself to sleep, wondering what she did wrong. 3 years of losing him while he was still breathing. Until the day the teacher came. The storm. The morning it happened, I was down by the docks fixing nets when I heard the commotion. "There's a boat coming in this weather." I looked up. Dark clouds were rolling across the water, the kind that turn the lake black and swallow fishing boats whole. Nobody sailed in weather like that. It was suicide. But there it was, a small fishing vessel cutting through waves that should have capsized it. And standing at the front, calm as morning, was a man in simple robes. The boat hit the shore, and he stepped out like he'd just taken a walk through a garden. His disciples, 12 of them, stumbled out behind him, still pale and shaking. "Did you see what he did?" one of them whispered to another. "The storm just stopped when he told it to." I didn't believe it. People exaggerate. Fishermen tell tall tales, but there was something about this man, something in the way he moved, like he knew exactly where he was going and why. And he was walking straight toward the burial caves. Toward Ethan. I dropped the nets and ran after him. "Sir, wait, you can't go up there." He turned and his eyes met mine. Brown eyes, kind, but ancient, like they'd seen things no human should see. "What's your name, son?" "Caleb, sir, my brother. He's up in those caves. He's dangerous. He's not himself anymore." The man smiled, not a mocking smile, a sad one. "I know," he said simply. "That's why I'm here." And he kept walking. By now, a crowd was forming. People were following at a distance, curious, scared. Nobody went near the caves anymore, not since Ethan claimed them. We were halfway up the rocky path when we heard it. That scream. It wasn't human. It was the sound of 1,000 voices all shrieking at once, like metal scraping against bone. It echoed off the cliffs, made my teeth hurt, made my stomach turn. And then Ethan appeared. The thing in my brother. He came running down from the caves, moving wrong, too fast, too smooth, like he was being pulled by invisible strings. His body was covered in scars, self-inflicted wounds that had never properly healed. His hair was matted with dirt and blood. His eyes were wild, darting everywhere and nowhere. But when he saw the teacher, he stopped. Just stopped. And fell to his knees. "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God?" My blood went cold. Ethan didn't know this man. None of us did. He just arrived. But somehow, whatever was inside Ethan knew exactly who he was. And it was terrified. The voice coming out of Ethan's mouth was layered, multiple tones speaking at once. Deep and high, young and old, male and female. It made my skin crawl. I beg you by God himself, don't send us to the pit. Not yet, not before the time." Jesus, if that was really his name, stood perfectly still. No fear in his face, no hesitation. "Come out of him." 3 words, that's all he said. 3 simple words spoken calmly, firmly. And the thing inside Ethan screamed. It sounded like a building collapsing, like 1,000 plates shattering at once. The crowd behind us covered their ears. Some turned and ran. But I stayed, because that was still my brother's body, and I needed to see this through. Jesus took a step closer. "What is your name?" The thing inside Ethan laughed, a horrible wet sound. "My name is Legion," it hissed, "for we are many." Legion, not a person, not a demon, an army of them, inside one man, inside my brother. I felt sick. How long had they been there? How long had Ethan been buried inside his own body, trapped while these things used him like a puppet? Jesus' face hardened. "Come out." And then the strangest thing happened. The bargain. The demons started begging. Not proudly, not arrogantly. They begged like prisoners before a judge, like children before an angry father. "Please, please. Master, don't send us away. Let us stay in this region. If you cast us out, send us into the pigs, the herd on the hill. Let us go into the pigs." I looked where they were pointing. About half a mile away on the hillside overlooking the lake was a massive herd of pigs. Had to be 2,000 of them at least. They belonged to a local merchant, a Greek man who supplied pork to the Roman soldiers. Why pigs? I didn't understand it then, but I do now. Pigs were unclean animals, forbidden for us to eat, forbidden even to touch. They represented everything unholy, everything outside God's law. These demons, these unclean spirits, they wanted to enter unclean vessels. Like calls to like, darkness to darkness. Jesus looked at them for a long moment, and then, to my shock, he nodded. "Go." The effect was immediate. Ethan's body convulsed. He fell forward, hands clawing at the dirt, mouth open in a silent scream, his back arched, his muscles seized. And then something left him. I didn't see it with my eyes, but I felt it, like a cold wind rushing past me, like the temperature dropped 20 degrees in an instant. The air itself seemed to scream as the demons fled my brother's body and raced toward the hillside. And the pigs went insane. The stampede. 2,000 pigs, all moving as one, suddenly broke into a run. Not a normal run, a mad, frantic sprint. They were squealing, shrieking, trampling each other in their panic to get away from whatever had just entered them. The herders tried to stop them. They shouted, they waved their arms, they threw rocks. Nothing worked. The pigs ran straight for the cliff edge. And they didn't stop. One after another, they threw themselves off the cliff into the lake below. The sound was horrific. The splashing, the screaming, the drowning. 2,000 pigs, possessed for less than a minute, chose death over hosting those demons. Even animals knew. Even creatures without souls understood that what had been inside them was worse than dying. I watched in frozen horror as the water turned to foam, as bodies thrashed and sank, as the lake swallowed them all. And then there was silence. I turned back to Ethan. He was sitting up, still breathing hard, still shaking, but his eyes were different. They were clear. Caleb. My legs gave out. I fell to my knees in the dirt. Ethan. He looked down at his hands, at his scarred arms, at his naked body. Confusion crossed his face, then horror, then shame. What happened to me? Where am I? How long has it been? Tears were streaming down my face. I couldn't speak. 3 years of losing him, and now in one moment he was back. Jesus walked over to him. Someone in the crowd had already run to get clothes, and Jesus helped Ethan into a simple tunic. You're free now, Jesus said gently. They're gone, all of them. Ethan looked up at him with wonder. Who are you? I'm the one who came for you. The rejection. Word spread fast. By the time we made it back to town, the whole region knew what happened. The pig herders had run ahead, telling everyone about the madman who was healed, the pigs who drowned, the stranger with the power to cast out demons. I thought people would celebrate. I thought they'd throw a party, welcome Ethan back, praise this Jesus for his power. I was wrong. The town elders came out to meet us, and their faces were hard. You need to leave, they told Jesus, now. What? I couldn't believe it. He just healed my brother, he saved his life. He cost us 2,000 pigs, one of the merchants shouted. That's a fortune, that's our livelihood, who's going to pay for that? A man's life is worth more than pigs, I shot back. Easy for you to say. It wasn't your business that just drowned. The crowd was getting angry now, not at the demons, not at the evil that had tormented Ethan for years, at Jesus, because he'd disrupted their comfortable lives, because he'd cost them money. Jesus looked at them with sad eyes. You've made your choice, he said quietly. He turned to go back to his boat. Ethan jumped up, desperate. Please, let me come with you. Don't leave me here. Jesus put a hand on his shoulder. No, I need you to stay. But these people hate me. They've always hated me. And now they'll hate me more because of the pigs. Ethan, Jesus looked him in the eyes. Go home, go to your family. Tell them what God has done for you. Tell them how he had mercy on you. That's your purpose now. I don't know how to do that. You don't need to know how. Just tell them what happened. Tell them your story, that's all. And then he left. I watched his boat disappear across the water, carrying away the only man who'd ever been able to help my brother. We stood there on the shore, me and Ethan, while the crowd dispersed around us, muttering and angry. What do we do now? I asked. Ethan looked down at his hands again. Clean hands, free hands. I guess I do what he said. I tell people what happened to me. Nobody's going to believe you. He smiled, a real smile, the first one I'd seen in 3 years. Then I'll show them. They knew what I was. Now they can see what I am. That's proof enough. The testimony. And that's exactly what he did. Ethan started talking to everyone who would listen, and a lot of people who wouldn't. He went to every town in the region, 10 cities. He told his story over and over about the demons, about the chains, about the caves, about Jesus. Some people listened, some people mocked, some people threw stones. But he kept going. Because when you've been that deep in darkness, when you've been that close to losing everything, when you've been saved from something impossible, you can't just stay quiet about it. Mom cried when he came home that first night. She couldn't stop touching his face, his hands, making sure he was real. Dad didn't say much, just pulled him into a hug and held on for a long time. And me, I finally got my brother back. Not the same as before. You can't go through something like that and come out unchanged. The scars were still there. The memories were still there. But he was free. The demons were gone. The questions. People ask me now, years later, what I learned from all this. They ask me why the demons begged for the pigs. They ask me why Jesus let them go into animals instead of just destroying them. They ask me if Ethan ever relapsed, if the demons ever came back. Here's what I tell them. The demons begged for the pigs because they were desperate. They knew their time was short. They knew Jesus had the power to send them straight to the pit, that dark prison where fallen angels wait for final judgment. They were buying time. Even a few more minutes in pigs was better than immediate punishment. And Jesus let them go because he wanted to prove a point. He wanted everyone to see what had been inside my brother. To see the destruction, the chaos, the death. To understand that demons don't just annoy you or tempt you. They want to destroy you, completely. Those pigs didn't last a minute. They threw themselves off a cliff rather than live with what was inside them. Ethan lived with it for 3 years. 3 years of torture. 3 years of being a prisoner in his own body. 3 years of hell. And Jesus set him free in less than 5 minutes. That's the power we're talking about. That's the authority he carries. As for whether the demons came back, no, they never did. Because when Jesus casts something out, it stays out. Mark my words, freedom is real. Deliverance is possible. No matter how deep you've fallen, no matter how long you've been bound, no matter how many voices are screaming in your head, there is someone stronger. The lesson. But here's the part that haunts me. The part I can't stop thinking about. The town rejected him. They saw the power. They witnessed the miracle. They watched a man who'd been demon-possessed for years suddenly become whole again. And they told Jesus to leave. Because they cared more about their pigs than about a person. More about their money than about a miracle. More about their comfort than about confronting evil. And I wonder how many people today are doing the same thing. How many of us see Jesus offering freedom, but reject it because we're afraid of what it will cost? How many of us would rather keep our safe, predictable lives than let him disrupt everything? How many of us are choosing pigs over people? Comfort over deliverance? Money over miracles? The religious leaders in town were angry because Jesus didn't follow their rules. He healed on the wrong day. He touched unclean people. He went to the wrong regions. The merchants were angry because he cost them money. The regular people were angry because he made them uncomfortable. He forced them to acknowledge that evil was real, that demons existed, that their neighbor had been suffering right under their noses. It's easier to look away. It's easier to pretend everything's fine. It's easier to send Jesus away than to let him expose what we've been ignoring. But here's the truth. When you send Jesus away, you send away the only one who can truly save you. The warning. I'm older now. Ethan's older too. He's married, has kids, still tells his story to anyone who asks. But sometimes, late at night, I think about those demons. Legion and army, inside one man. And I wonder how many people walking around today have the same thing. Not demon-possessed maybe, but bound, chained, tormented by things they can't control. Addictions that won't let go, thoughts that won't stop screaming, shame that won't release its grip, fear that won't leave them alone. Living in tombs of their own making, cutting themselves in different ways, isolated, afraid, convinced they're too far gone to be saved. And I want to tell them what I saw that day. I want to tell them that Jesus crossed a storm to get to my brother, not because Ethan deserved it, not because he asked for it, not because he had any faith left, but because that's what Jesus does. He goes into the dark places, he walks into the tombs, he faces the demons, he breaks the chains. And all you have to do is let him. Don't make the mistake our town made. Don't send him away because you're afraid of change. Don't reject freedom because it costs something. Because here's what I learned that day. The cost of keeping your demons is always higher than the cost of losing your pigs. Always. Hash the truth. So why did the demons beg to go into the pigs? Because they were terrified. Terrified of Jesus, terrified of judgment, terrified of the end they knew was coming. They recognized him immediately. They called him Son of the Most High God. They knew exactly who stood before them. And they begged. Not because they wanted pigs, but because they wanted anything at all, to avoid facing him. That should tell you something. Even demons believe in Jesus. They know he's real. They know he has power. They know judgment is coming. The question is, do you? Because if demons recognize his authority, if fallen angels tremble at his name, if evil itself bows before him, what excuse do we have for ignoring him? For rejecting him? For choosing our comfortable lives over his transforming power? Ethan couldn't save himself. The chains couldn't hold him, but they couldn't free him either. The town couldn't help him. The religious leaders couldn't heal him. Only Jesus could. And the same is true for you. Whatever you're carrying, whatever's tormenting you, whatever voices won't stop speaking in your head, you can't break free on your own. But there's someone who can. The same one who crossed the sea, the same one who faced Legion, the same one who gave my brother back his life. He's still in the business of setting captives free. Hash the invitation. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a religious leader. I'm just a guy who watched his brother die twice and come back to life once. But I know what I saw. I know that evil is real, demons are real, spiritual warfare is real. And I know that Jesus is more real than all of them combined. So if you're reading this, if you're listening to this story, and something inside you is stirring, pay attention. That's not random, that's not coincidence. That's the same Jesus who came for Ethan, coming for you. You don't have to live in the tombs anymore. You don't have to let the voices control you. You don't have to stay chained to whatever's been binding you. Freedom is possible. Real, lasting, complete freedom. Not because you're strong enough, but because he is. Not because you deserve it, but because he loves you. Not because you have to clean yourself up first, but because he specializes in messy, broken, impossible cases. My brother was one of them. And if Jesus could save him, he can save anyone. So here's what I'm asking you to do, right now, before you scroll away, before you forget this story. First, subscribe to this channel. Seriously, hit that button, because stories like this need to reach people. Truth needs to spread, and you being here, listening, reading, that's part of the plan. Second, like this video. I know it sounds small, but it helps more people find it. And someone out there needs to hear this. Someone is living in their own tomb right now, thinking there's no way out. Your like might put this story in front of them at exactly the right moment. Third, comment below. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me if this story touched you. Tell me if you've ever felt bound by something you couldn't break free from. Tell me if you need prayer, because I'm reading every single comment, and I'm praying for every person who has the courage to share their struggle. And fourth, the most important one, If you're carrying something heavy today, if you're tormented by something you can't control, if you're living in a tomb of shame or addiction or fear, call on his name. Right now, out loud if you can. Just say it. Jesus, I need you. Set me free. That's it. That's the prayer. Simple, honest, real. He crossed a sea in a storm for one man. He'll cross whatever distance separates you from him right now, because that's who he is. That's what he does. He comes for the lost, the bound, the broken, the ones living in tombs. He came for my brother. He'll come for you too. Final words. The last time I saw those caves where Ethan lived, they were empty. Just cold stone and darkness. No screaming, no chains, no torment. Because the man who used to live there was free. He's not famous, he's not perfect, he still has hard days. But he's alive, he's whole, he's telling his story. And every person who hears it and finds hope, every person who realizes they're not too far gone, every person who calls on Jesus because of what they heard, that's part of the miracle too. That's the ripple effect of one life set free. So let me leave you with this. The demons knew who Jesus was. The demons recognized his power. The demons begged at his feet. The demons are already convinced. The question is, are you? Don't wait until you're living in a tomb to call on him. Don't wait until you're so bound by chains that you've forgotten what freedom feels like. Don't wait until you're screaming in the darkness with no one to hear you. Call on him now, today, this moment. Because he's listening, he's always been listening. And he's ready to cross whatever storm stands between you and freedom. Just like he did for my brother Ethan. Just like he's done for countless others. Just like he'll do for you. If you let him. Drop that comment, hit subscribe, share this story, and if you need freedom today, just say his name. Jesus. That's all it takes. One name, one prayer, one step toward the light. And the demons will scatter, the chains will break, the tomb will open. Because when Jesus speaks, everything else has to listen. Even Legion. Even death. Even your darkness. Peace be with you, and I'll see you in the next story.